You're watching Fox 10 AZAM.
So here's what's interesting, and maybe, I don't know if you're in the market for a house or you're thinking about selling your house, but there are cities where the tide is turning. Not just a seller's market anymore, but more of a buyer's market, right?
Yeah.
We're going to take a look at that. Also, Zillow dumping a bunch of homes on the market. It's going to help some buyers.
Yeah, maybe it's helping you out. In fact, if you're looking to purchase a home, we are chatting with this expert coming up.
Realty check for you, and right, it's a big topic of discussion, right?
Oh, yes.
Our real estate market. So let's get right to Trevor Halpern, who's the founder of Halpern Residential, joining us with a look at the market right now. Great to see you. Thanks for being here this morning. I think a lot of people are going to be very happy to hear. I saw a few notes on what you're going to talk about today, that some areas of the valley are actually cooling off a little bit. I mean, we're not talking about going backwards, but maybe going a little bit in favor of the buyer.
You got it. Yeah, there's several areas in the city where we're seeing a shift slightly. We're still, as far as the index is concerned, the Cromford Market Index is what we're looking at. Anything that's above 100 is weighted towards sellers. Anything below 100 is weighted towards buyers. And we're seeing a dip by 9, 6, 7% in certain cities. Fountain Hills, Avondale, Scottsdale, we're seeing a little bit of a dip, but they're still weighted at like a 600, a 472, a 392. So they're still heavily weighted to sellers, but we're seeing this gradual trend in about 12 of our big cities around the valley.
So let's talk about that, because I think you mentioned Avondale and Scottsdale, which are completely different parts of the valley, different sets of, living situations. Give us an idea of why are we seeing that drop in Scottsdale?
Well, in Scottsdale, the drop is really minuscule right now. It's 1%. Sometimes, what we see is this ebb and flow of supply and demand. We are still in a really hot demand market. We're still in a really slow supply market. So when we see these fluctuations, there are a lot of micro trends that can occur. So like, for instance, in Scottsdale, sometimes you may look at a listing and you see that thing is priced pretty high, and you may see the price come down a little bit because sellers are out there overextending. A lot of sellers are trying to price their home based on what they think the market trend is. And so sometimes you see this little bit of compression down once they realize that they're not getting the price that they thought that they would get.
Yeah, but you understand that. I mean, when you're living on a street and your neighbor's house sells for something, you're like, what? The Joneses' house just sold for X amount of dollars? Let's list ours for 20% more and see what happens.
Not?
Yeah, and then you kind of go back.
Exactly.
So let's go into, you talked about some of the markets that may be shifting a little bit towards the buyer. Where are they still strong for sellers?
Well, where it's still strong for sellers is Phoenix itself. The city of Phoenix is up 1%. The index for Phoenix is at a 330, so it's 3 times weighted to sellers as opposed to buyers. Also, Queen Creek, Paradise Valley, Buckeye, and Tempe. So these disparate areas, every area, every neighborhood is its own little microclimate, and we really see these trends ebb and flow in these different cities. Next month, it may look a little bit different.
It's interesting that you mentioned some of these cities that are seeing like the center portion of town. When you talk about Phoenix, what parts of Phoenix? Is it downtown? Is it Arcadia area? What parts of Phoenix are we seeing where it favors the seller?
Yeah, you got it. It really is widespread. A lot of the historic districts in Phoenix are seeing a lot of really great activity. Arcadia is always really robust for sellers. Arcadia Light, Arcadia Adjacent. We've got all these terms for these areas around Arcadia.
As long as you can get Arcadia in there, right?
Central Phoenix. So yeah, we see a lot of areas in Phoenix. The 32nd Street corridor, right around the 51, is seeing a wonderful resurgence.
You know what worries me is I feel like we're almost getting to the point we were, and I'm not saying anything's going to crash or anything weird, but kind of back where we were in 2007, 2008, when I worried, where does a teacher who's married to a police officer, where do they buy a home, right? At what point are we pricing people out of a first-time home ownership?
Well, we're starting to approach that. What we're seeing is the cost of living in Phoenix has always been one of the draws to the city. And we're still seeing the cost of living overall, if you take real estate out of it, we're still seeing Phoenix really desirable as compared to other major metro areas. However, as the price of real estate continues to go up and as our wages do not keep up with that pace, we're starting to get to that exact point where a teacher, a firefighter, a nurse, where they can't afford to buy a home, a first-time home. They're looking at condos, townhouses, patio homes. There's still a lot of opportunity in those spaces too.
So Trevor, if there's folks that are watching this morning, they're thinking, this is great information. Maybe Trevor can help me out. How can they get a hold of you?
Sure, they can call me or text me directly at 602-595-4200 or visit my website, halpernresidential.com.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Trevor.
Good information. We'll hope
Have a
that maybe we
great
can check in with you in a couple of months and see how things are going.
Yeah.